Welcome back, chemistry fans. We are going to now move forward from our understanding of what an ionic compound is to now start talking about how do we form these ionic compounds? How do we name them? How do we balance them? That's going to be our focus for topic number 2 from unit number 2. So last time we talked about how they form, how they create the Planck-Rang devices, the way that we would try to memorize the naming. Now we're going to get into how we name them. So we will start with a flow chart. This flow chart is too confusing for us to try and know everything about. We're going to focus over here on the left side. And of that, we're only going to focus on one portion of it to start, the binary ionic compounds. And that happens right up here in this first portion. So what we're going to talk about is just this one small portion of this entire flowchart that eventually you're going to have to figure out together and be confident in the naming of. So as we get into it, you have to understand cations are the metals and they go on the left side of the periodic table. On the right side of naming will always be the nonmetals called anions. So we take the cation and the anion and they come together with a suffix of IDE. So this first part is what we're only going to deal with tonight. There are other portions to it, but that's not for tonight. Right now, what we need to understand is how do we name, how do we balance the charges of a binary ionic compound. So let's get into it. What you should notice from this is that it's always two elements, not always two atoms. The first example, sodium fluoride, does have two atoms and two elements. But if we go to the second example, I've got two of the potassiums and one sulfur. Now, why are there two potassiums, but sodium only has one? It goes back to what their charges are. Sodium has a charge of +1. Fluorine has a charge of -1. One of the activities to help you understand this is to put your hands in the air like you just don't care, crisscross them down and throw them to the ground. And what you're going to end up with then is a balanced chemical reaction where, we take this charge and it crosses over to this, and we would have then our balanced reaction, Na1F1. We don't need to write the ones because it's already balanced. If we look at potassium, it has a charge of +1, sulfur has a charge of -2. Now, where am I getting that? From your periodic table where you wrote your charges. You put your charges in the air like you just don't care. You crisscross them down, and you end up with K2S1. You don't need to write the 1. Now, the names of both of these, what you should notice is the only part that changes, the suffix, is the IDE. The element metal at the beginning doesn't change its name in red. On any of these examples, the only part that changes is the suffix IDE. Next one is a little challenging. The next two, calcium has a charge of +2, phosphorus has a charge of -3. You put the charges in the air like you just don't care. You crisscross them down. You get Ca3P2. Al +3, O -2. We crisscross it down. We get Al3O2, aluminum oxide, and calcium phosphide. Now, here is where it gets tricky. Magnesium and oxygen both have the same charge. After we crisscross it, it should be a 2 and a 2. But guess what? They were already balanced, so I didn't even need to crisscross it. So when possible, please reduce the charges to their lowest common denominator. So if it ends up that you have an element CO -4, ooh, that won't work. Hold on. If we had, let's see, barium carbide. Barium has a charge of +2, carbon has a -4. So what that would mean is our numbers would be 4, 2, but we need to reduce that down to Ba2C. Okay, let's do a couple more examples and then we're done with this topic and we'll move into our next one later. So those are our charges, where they came from off the periodic table. We have it written down. This is the ionic crisscross method. So the charges go up in the air, then you crisscross them down to try and balance it out. So I would have as this balanced Na2S1. You don't need the 1. Then next, I would have AlO, and the charges balanced on it would be Al2O3. What would be the name of this one? It would be sodium sulfide, IDE. The name of the second one, aluminum Oxide, it comes with practice where this cutoff ends for the non-metal second portion of the naming. Here's another couple of examples. This one shows all of the steps. I've got barium +2, chlorine -1. They crisscross applesauce, and they ended up with BaCl2, the name of this one, barium chloride. All right. Moving into the examples that were from the note. Oh, no, still got a few more. Oh, my goodness. Here's that one where it needed to be reduced. So after the 4 and 2 got reduced down, I had to then put them in their lowest common denominators. That's a 1 and a 2. And that's why my final answer is just lead oxide. But the number is a 2, not a 4. All right, same story here. +2 and a -2. They cancel out, they reduce down. Not 2 and 2, but they got reduced. All right, so here we go. +1 -1, +2 -2, +1 -2, +2 -1, +3 -1, +3 -3, and +3. And I can't see the last one. So let's figure out what it is. S. So now I'll put that one down here. -2 +3. All right. So crisscross applesauce, they canceled out. Crisscross applesauce, they canceled out. Crisscross applesauce, that one cancels out. All the other ones I do need to figure out. So the 2 crossed over, the 1 crossed over. The 2 crossed over, the 1 crossed over. The 3 crossed over, the 1 crossed over. And then down here, the 2 crossed over and the 3 crossed over. Now the naming of this one is potassium chloride, calcium sulfide, potassium sulfide, calcium chloride, aluminum chloride, aluminum nitride, and aluminum sulfide. Notice every stinking one of the binary compounds ends with IDE. And that is how we finish up this topic. And then next time we will then, oh, sorry. That's not how we finished up. This time we're going to then move into writing the symbols from the names. Next time we'll get it. All right, so sodium +1 -1, +1 -2, +1 -3, +2 -2. All right, they canceled out. This one I would put a 2 and a 1. You don't need the 1. This one, I'd put a 3 and a 1. You don't need the 1. Those canceled out. So now I have left with my 4 balance. This is the end of the topic that I wish to share with you for the night. Thank you so much. Goodbye.